Okay, hi, I'm Andrew Packley, and for my philosophy presentation, I'm doing my presentation over the philosophy and morality of war. So to start, there's a situation. You are in the armed forces of your country, and another country's armed forces have crossed your border. The other country's armed forces are heading towards your capital and are only known to fight in self-defense. Do you attack? So this is kind of the base to the entire presentation. This combines logic and morality, and it's sort of a paradox in a way. So in this situation, what you would do logically is you draw your red line, and if those armed forces are to cross that red line, then you would act in self-defense. That would give you a reason. Morally, what you would do is not attack at all if they vowed not to attack unless acted upon, because unless you act in self-defense, then you are morally wrong in attacking every single time. So that's where the paradox kind of comes from. However, I think to solve this situation, you kind of combine logic with morality, and as I said, you draw your red line, and then once they cross that red line, that gives you the moral right to defend yourself, because then it's an act of self-defense. So my thesis is any war involving aggressive nature and killing of other human beings cannot be morally justified unless it is done when defending your own life or a greater number of others from an imminent threat. So the topics to cover are: what is war, what are some causes of war, and is war in general morally correct? So morality of war. Unless a country or state goes to war in self-defense, then the war cannot be morally justified. And unless a combatant kills in self-defense, then that cannot be morally justified as well. So what is war? According to Oxford Dictionary, war is described as a state of armed conflict between two countries or different groups within a country. So war defined by some philosophers. Cicero describes war as a contention by force. Hugo Grotius states that war is contending parties. Karl von Clausewitz says that war is the continuation of politics by other means. And Clausewitz is also the most famous philosopher in debating the morality of war. And his quote is, "War is nothing but a duel on an extensive scale, an act of violence intended to compel our opponent to fulfill our will." So what are some causes of war? These are the most popular. You have economic gain, territorial gain, religion, political, and terrorism. In today's world, the most popular is terrorism. And to clear things up, it's doing as much harm as possible, causing the most negative impact to a group, society, or country, and it's really just causing as much terror as possible. So I put this slide here. This is an image of the German World War II forces, because it's kind of an example of all of the acts of war combined. They did everything from economic gain, territorial gain, marching through Europe, taking over countries against their will. Really, it combined all acts of war into one, so I think it's like the ultimate negative and example of war. So, morality of war, these are some different theories and mindsets as to what war is and how to approach it. So the just war theory states that common or middle ground between realist and pacifist, well, that's what a just war theory is, I have my apologies. A traditionalist believes that as long as combatants are following the laws of the war, then they are morally right. A revisionist states that combatants follow their conscience, not their laws. And a combatant, which, by the way, is a traditionalist mindset, except in the act of actually doing it, if that makes sense, believe that they kill permissibly by following the laws of war. But still, all in all these examples and mindsets still feel remorse after killing somebody, whether it's in self-defense or whether it's what they're told to do. So that's how I think that they know they've done something wrong and morally incorrect. So here, this is called the trolley example. We learned this in our philosophy class. So this is another situation and paradox. So you approach a set of tracks. There's a trolley going down this single track that splits off into two tracks. On one track there's one person tied down, on the other track there's 10 people tied down. Regardless of the situation, somebody is going to end up being killed unless you're an 800-pound rhino that has the ability to stop the trolley, but that's besides the point. So this is another example of logic versus morality. Morally, if you wanted to be 100% morally correct in this situation, you would forget it even happened and walk away. But that's not really possible. So once you acknowledge a situation, you see that there is a lever that you can pull to alter the route of the trolley, you understand that you have to make a moral and logical decision. And that's how I think you come to a good resolution with this. You have to combine both logic with morals. So, is it wrong to take 10 lives or 1 life? Yes. However, logically, you save the 10 people as compared to the 1 person. It's once it registers in your head that you have the ability to make a choice and you choose not to, you're morally wrong. So what I say you do is you understand the situation, realize there is no positive outcome, but use logic to determine what is the best alternative to the situation. So in that case, you alter the track to take the life of the single person on the track. So in conclusion, any war or killing cannot be morally justified unless it is in defense or protecting a greater number of people from an imminent threat. This concludes my presentation. I want to thank you for your time. Are there any questions?